Now getting started in Motion with our signature, I'm going to recommend that our duration is 150 frames, which is 5 seconds, and typically plenty of time for us to write our names. So I'm going to start off with a 5-second long signature. If this goes a little bit fast, we can always slow it down later when it comes over to Final Cut. But we want a Motion project, 150 frames, 2997 NTSC standard, and broadcast HD 1080 as our defaults. Now, let me go back 1 second here, and I want to create a new folder in which to house all of this content. So I have my original photograph. I'm also going to put my signature PSD file in here. This is also going to be the place where I'm going to save my Motion project in just 1 second. So coming back into Motion, I want to come in and file save, and I'll title this test. Just I've already have a completed one, and I don't want to confuse it. But and I'll come down to my untitled folder. You can, of course, title your folder and hit save. What this is going to do is put all of your content and also your project into the same location. So that way, if you care to share this or take this with you, you have the ability to do so. If you break these elements apart, it may not work in Final Cut Pro later, and so that's why we're organizing it all in a folder on the desktop. Now, the first thing to get started with is we're going to come to the desktop. I'm again going to come back to that location. In this case, mine's titled Untitled. And I'm going to use my signature PSD, and I'm going to click Import. What I can see is that I got it really blown up here. And what I want to do is the first thing is come up here to the zoom, which is 100% by default, and click Fit. And it's going to place this PSD as large as it can on the screen, which is fine for what we're doing. I like dealing with a nice big project. What we should notice is that we have a group and we have a signature. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually outline over top of our name. And I encourage you to do this in the fashion in which you would write your name. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brush tool down here next to the letter T. And I'm going to click and drag directly over top of my letters in the fashion that I would write my name. Using the mouse, and I come up to about there before my next stroke is going to begin, and now that's my downstroke into the rest of these letters. So I kind of have this little loopy handwriting. So that's going to be the very first part that I want to reveal. And what you're seeing here is I have a paintbrush stroke that sort of sloppily follows over top of my name. And what I want to do is zoom in on this a little bit. I'm going to go back to 100%, and I'm going to grab the hand for my pan tool, and I'm going to go over so I can see this. And 100% is a little too much, so let's take this down a little bit. All right. And what I can see is that my text is sticking outside of my signature. If you cannot see this, for instance, this white outline is not bold enough for you, you can also come up to Properties and change the background by going over Inspector, changing the properties, the background color of this. And I can see that my black is not completely covered. And I'm going to create a mask with this paintbrush stroke, so I need to make it bolder. And what I'm going to do is click on that paintbrush stroke, and with my heads-up display over here, I can see the color that I have set. If you want to change the color of that outline, you can pick whatever color you want. In this case, I'm just using a bright greenish color. And the width directly below it allows me to just bump this up enough that I can cover up. I just want to be able to cover up the portion I'm after. And if it doesn't work out well for you, you can always delete this and recreate that brush stroke. So I bumped the size of this up. I'm going to move on, and my next stroke starts up here and is the downstroke that goes into my letter N, which is kind of sloppy. And I'm going to stop. I'll come right back over with that and increase the width until it covers. Actually, I got to select it here. I'm not sure what was going on there when I reselected it. Didn't seem to want to move, so I had to reselect it again. All right, I'm going to bump this up until it covers. And I want to cover without getting on top of the next letter. And right now I can see that I'm not completely covered, so I don't like it, and I'm going to delete that layer and try once more. So I'm going to delete that brush stroke and try again. And I'm going to start up here. I'm going to try and stay right in the center of these letters. And now I can see I can make this a little bit smaller and not interfere with. Let me reselect this once more. All right. So I can see that I'm beginning to cover up my letters, and I'm going to do this over and over again until I get all of my layers mapped out and covering all of my text. And this doesn't look very good right now, but I'll show you how to get this into create this into a mask, which is going to reveal your text in just a moment.